Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out the brand new Blackwings. We're going to see multiple boss monsters come out turn one, and I think that that's probably the better way to play this deck. Ideally, if you can summon triple of the new Blackwing boss monsters, your opponent can only activate 3 effects, and then on the 4th one, they literally just lose. So there's a few different ways to kind of play the deck. We're going to see a lot of variety. One of the new cool cards is Black Feather Whirlwind. It lets you protect your monsters, and then on top of that, it's like so easy to get for free. But what it does is it protects your monsters, and also once per turn, if you summon a Dark Secret monster, you get to target one of those Blackwing monsters with attack that is lower, attack that is banished or in your graveyard, and you get to special summon. The ideal goal, by the way, it all comes down to this card specifically. So it's Black Winged Assault Dragon. So what this card does is anytime your opponent activates in a card effect, they actually take 700 points of damage, and then you also place a Black Feather counter on this card. Now, when you place a Black Feather counter on this card, they take 700 damage, and this stacks multiple times, so that's obviously really good. Now, it does have a quick effect to tribute this card with 4 more counters. You can destroy all cards on the field, but obviously you would just protect yourself. Unfortunately, it doesn't say all other cards, it's just all cards on the field, so that includes yours. I wish it only targeted your opponent's cards or something like that, but the deck is still like really good. The thing is, again, this counts during either player's turn. Keep that in mind as well. So every single time they do something, they're going to go ahead and take 1,400 points of burn damage. Again, the goal would be basically to get out 3. You'll see 3 here in a second. But if you can get 3 of these turn 1, your opponent takes 2,100 damage every single time there is a monster effect. That's where I feel like this deck is actually good. There are other cards, but for the most part, this isn't like a super negate heavy deck. I have some other variants where they mix in like the Phantom Knight engine in it, because you can mix that in here as well. Also, you know, Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, more negations is available. There is another free card that you can technically get called the Black Squall for an additional negation, but it negates a spell trap, but you also have to remove a Black Feather counter card on your field to negate the activation and destroy it. But then if you control a Blackwing Dragon, you get to reset this card, which is not that difficult because the new support, for whatever reason, they want to support the Blackwing Dragon. So basically, you can activate this effect of it twice for once. Most builds will only play one because you just recycle it. But let's go and check out a couple more gameplays here with different builds, because I want to show you guys a variety of ways to actually play the deck. So just like standard Blackwings, you'd open up with like Whirlwind for the most part. You also have Avada the Knave. A lot of times, again, you're just, for whatever reason, like you need this card. And I don't get why they specifically mentioned it, this card. A lot of different players across different, you know, skill floors, skill ceilings here. I mean, like an Armor Master Blackwing Dragon turn 1, probably not the most of meta, but watch what the guy actually makes. Play against some Tri-Brigade variant here. So, like, he's got Super Poly, so I guess it really didn't matter what he summoned. So I would say the way that the deck really loses is specifically against anything that would like tribute the card, because if you use, like, no one really plays Lava Golem that often now, but, you know, a Kaiju can be played, the Winged Dragon of Ra, Sphere Mode does see some play, but Nibiru is probably the card that disrupts this deck the most, because you're not going to be able to really have that many insane follow-up plays. Like, once you go for, like, the double synchros, if you do that, it's pretty solid. But on top of that, the Black Feather Whirlwind also has another bonus effect. So, in addition to being able to get, like, another bonus, like, synchro or bringing back another monster, once per turn, if a dark monster or monsters would be destroyed, you can actually remove a Black Feather counter from your field instead. Again, this would have to be on your monsters, so it's heavily reliant on you having the Blackwing monsters in order for their effects. There's also technically Wing Recruital, which you can play. You get to pay 600 life points to draw 2 cards. That can be a nice little benefit. Now the boss monster comes out, and remember, when they are at such low life points at this point, he's going to probably want some monster's effects, so he's going to go ahead and every single time he does a monster effect, that's 700 burn damage. Activates Tri-Brigade effect, goes for it, and that's another, you know, set of 700 burn damage. He's activating this effect. Well, now he's going to go ahead and actually, he lost the connection over here, but nonetheless, he actually did activate this effect, but the cards were protected. Now, that was kind of a, you know, maybe a not the best optional play, but it does have that effect that you contribute it, and it destroys all cards on the field as another option. So if he was able to get that off, yeah, he would have won over here, but the other guy just left the game a little bit early here. But again, I'm here to show you guys different things that you can play in the deck. There's also a card called Blackbird Close. So when a face-up monster your opponent controls activates effect, you can send a face-up Blackwing monster you control to the graveyard to negate the activation and destroy it. So this is more so monster negation. It's just to show you guys some other cards that you can technically play in the deck. There's also the Blackwing boss monster, which I think kind of got a little bit outclassed. This is Blackwing Full Armor Master. I've seen some people try to just turbo out this card as well. I'm not sure what's the best option. Maybe you can go 1-on-1 for the boss monsters. But yeah, this card's okay as well. So it's immune to everything, but each time your opponent activates its effect, you place a wedge counter on it, and then after that effect resolves, once per turn you get to target a monster with a wedge counter, and you get to basically take control over it. Then once per turn in end phase, you can destroy all of the monsters with the counters. Now, unfortunately, that is not going to be a quick effect. So I feel like the boss monster, the Full Armor Master, that was released a while back, I mean, yeah, with the new support, you can make it easier, and you can mix and match, but I think the best idea is to make as many cards as you possibly can that have the ability to do the burn damage. I mean, I know Dark Magician is not the most meta of things, but again, I'm trying to show you guys other options that the deck has now, but this is with, like, Simoon and the Poison Wind. This was, like, some of the more newer Blackwing support, not the newest one, but this is, like, newer support, and I'm just, again, showing you guys variety, and I'll give you guys the deck profiles for all the different variants here, but again, I think the best idea, make the boss monster. So he's going to go for our Dark Magician. With no monsters left on the field, he's going to be top decking one card. Let's see what he gets. He gets 3 the Illusory Spark. So when it's normal summon, it gets a bonus effect that you can go for it. But on top of that, a lot of the cards will have like the ability to just get rid of it to search for a card that goes for like Blackwing Dragon card in its text. We'll go over more of those effects in a moment here. But let's check out this one over here versus the Incantations. This was actually like a turn 1 play that was okay. So you can see the Black Whirlwind is placed. Simoon going to be summoning itself, getting that effect of Whirlwind, and then he's going to get the effect of this card to add one card that mentions the card. So this is one of the best new cards. This is Shamal, the Sandstorm. So you send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard to place a Black Feather Whirlwind. That's the new card that lets you get an additional monster. So once you go for your combo, you're going to get an additional like monster to go into more options. This is another one of the newer cards. This is Boreas, the Evil Wind. So this is a tuner synchro. That's basically what it's used for, but if this card's synchro summon, you get to dump one from the deck to the graveyard, and then this card's level becomes that monster's level. So this is the variant that I was talking about with the Phantom Knights, where you get extra negations, because the deck inherently doesn't really do too many negations. Yes, you get to blow up the board, but blowing up the board after 4 summons, more likely your opponent could probably make something to stop this. Now, he goes for a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend, which you can go for, so that adds another negation level. And on the Phantom Knights engine, you can get double Fog Blade with this. That's 3 negates. If you want to count this as 4 negates, because your opponent's going to activate on the 4th one, then you can blow up everything, and then protect all of your own cards because of the Black Feather Whirlwind. Now, he does activate the Ash Blossom, which would have been really good, but he happens to have the Called by the Grave. So he Snatch Steals the monster because, remember, he can still have the Black Whirlwind effect, and he's going to have that extra Fog Blade to stop the Peacock from going for its effect. He goes for Cerberus, basically getting rid of the other monster, but he's going to go ahead and say no to that. So that's kind of nice, being able to place the wedge counter. Remember, this card is immune to everything. So this is where, like, in this circumstance, making this card would have actually been better, potentially, than the other card. So again, there's a lot of options for this deck. I think we have like one more play, and then I'm going to hop into the deck profile and talk a little bit more about it. This is versus Ice Jade again, which I wouldn't say is like the most toppest of tiers in terms of the meta. He also technically has Kaijus. Again, Kaijus would be great. This is like the water variant, like a more heavy water deck. I mean, some of the water stuff is actually pretty good. I mean, obviously, totally awesome Bahamut Shark combo. Nothing too new with that, but again, it's kind of up in the air for what to make turn 1. I mean, again, it's so weird that I'm seeing Blackwing Dragon in 2022. I don't get why it's supposed to support this card particularly, but there's another card that gives you some tokens over here. This card is actually pretty interesting. This is Kunai the Drizzle. So this one's not super new, but you can special summon this card by tributing a Blackwing, and then if it's summoned this way, it's treated as a tuner monster, so you have another level 5 tuner, and then you can target a synchro monster you control and declare level 1 through 8. So it kind of enables double bosses. So now you're seeing the Blackwing Assault Dragon and the Full Armor Master, so we have a variety of the boss monsters. But yeah, if you can go for triple Blackwing Assault Dragon turn 1, your opponent, remember, they can only activate 3 effects before they actually lose, because that's 2100 damage every single time. So if you can mix this in, I don't know, with any other burn variant, you might be able to actually game your opponent just simply off of these cards. And the deck still has like plays. Like, I mean, you can make Baron de Floor. Obviously, that card is no surprise for the meta of Yu-Gi-Oh! But then we have Nathung the Starlight to do an extra 800 burn damage maybe to help out. But the deck is pretty good for OTKs. I would say the deck is a little bit fragile on walking into boards. I mean, yes, you do happen to have this, but like, this is a one-time protection. But at the end of the day, I would say the Blackwing stuff isn't terrible. But is it like S tier godly splight level? I would say it's got a while. But let me go and mouse over the cards real quick for the deck profile, just in case any of you guys did want to go ahead and go over it. But yeah, like I said, it doesn't happen to have like a lot of negations built in. This is one of the variants. Just I love Excelsior over here. Shouts to all the players for their variety of builds. I liked this build too. Again, it opened up the doors for more potential for negations, because again, you need negations in Yu-Gi-Oh! Let's be real here. But I didn't get to talk about this card. A lot of people aren't playing it, but it's Twin Shadow. You return 2 of your Blackwing monsters that are banished or in your graveyard to the extra deck, 1 tuner, 1 non-tuner. Then you get to spell summon a Blackwing secret monster or Blackwing dragon from your extra deck whose levels exactly equal those. If you can maybe go for some variants of like some formula plays, or like plays where you can synchro on your opponent's turn, that could be a very, very good option as well. But again, people usually don't want to play traps in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because it's just too slow. I mean, this is an exception because, you know, it's a pretty good card. But yeah, there was like another card that this build did play that the others were not, playing like 3 copies of. Sometimes you'll see 1 copy of it. Most of these other cards are kind of meh. I mean, this one, when your opponent declares an attack on a Blackwing, you get to banish all of them, but more than likely your opponent will just bounce back your cards, right? Like Former Master's immune to all effects anyways. More likely if they're in the battle phase, they're getting rid of your board, or they would have gotten rid of your board before that. Delta Crow Anti-Reverse is kind of a cool card, but a lot of these Blackwing cards just in general have been outdated and outclassed. But, you know, sometimes people like to see other builds just to get ideas. There's also triple tactic talents in here. I would say the Blackwing deck definitely has a problem going second into boards. I mean, obviously you can play things like, you know, Dark World of No More if you want to, because the deck is relatively consistent at throwing out this, but is this going to win you the game going second? I would say a little bit more tough. It's kind of a turn 1 deck, and even then you don't have that many negations. But that's my thoughts on you Blackwings. Let me know yours down below. I think the deck's got some potential. We're just maybe a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 cards away from making this deck like an S tier deck. What it needs is negate and destroy, honestly, on some other card that's like a free searcher that negates monster effects. There's this card right here, right? Chinook. I was surprised we didn't see more of this, but this card lets you send it from your hand or field to the graveyard, target a face-up monster your opponent controls. You send a Blackwing secret monster or Blackwing dragon from your extra to the graveyard, and until the end of the turn, the target monster loses 700 attack and its effects are negated. And it's a quick effect if you control a dark synchro monster. Now, the only unfortunate part with Chinook is a lot of times you will search it and then your opponent is just going to know. But this is like, this and the other card are your only negations, and this one negates monsters, the other one is spell and trap. The reason why I feel like this card loses out, it doesn't negate and destroy, and on top of that, you can only use the effect of Chinook once per turn. So I wish it didn't have that part of the once per turn. I understand it probably did. Negate and destroy would be pretty OP because there's very few hand traps that do that, but it technically helps out the deck. But again, maybe just 1 more negation in this deck would be up in there. But anyways, thanks for tuning, guys. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like on it. If you're new here, if you want to see more new Yu-Gi-Oh content in the future, hit subscribe, turn the bell to see more new builds. And again, all of them will be downloaded via the description box via the Discord. But shout out to all the players for their different builds, really cool stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.